81 to 19.98 of the Wisconsin State Statutes. You have last month's meeting minutes in front of you. Kate, Scott, Dan, any need for corrections? I saw none. I'll motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Scott. All in favor of approval of last month's minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those minutes are approved. Monthly staff reports.
Numbers are mainly down across the board for the month of August. Cheer and flag were not as high as last year. We offered about half as many adult fitness classes than we did a year ago. Check-ins were down without a gym and no indoor pool. And we'll cover the reasons VMAX attendance was down a little later in the report. But our pass sales were up for both from a year ago. So I'll end it with a positive there.
Did you say flag football was down, Randy?
Flag football was down.
Do we know why?
I don't have a rhyme or reason for you.
Soccer.
Playing soccer, there we go.
Would say that.
Touche. Score one for Joe.
All right, any questions for Randy on the report? All right, communication and correspondence. Anything?
None.
All right, no appearances or public comments, no old business. Under new business administration, we'll start with the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, and we'll be joined now by Megan Shapiro.
Morgan.
I'm sorry, Morgan Shapiro, who is joining us virtually from MSA.
So I'll do a quick intro, Morgan, before we officially throw it to you. Tonight we'll be introducing the final draft tonight for recommendation for adoption. Staff has worked with MSA for the good portion of the year. For this update, we were led by Morgan Shapiro with MSA, who is here with us virtually. So Morgan, if you're all set, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Randy. Hi, everybody. Nice to be joining you all virtually. Yeah, so like Randy said, my name is Morgan and I work for MSA. You might remember us if you're around for the previous corporate iteration. That was Randy's predecessor working with my predecessor. So this gave us a lot of room to work with. And this was basically just an update from the previous one. So I'll keep my presentation short. Here there's a Brewers game a little bit later. So I'll try to blow through it and hopefully just, get to the questions. That's the important part anyways. So, just a refresher, the reason why we do these comprehensive outdoor recreation plans, the biggest reason is that these benchmarks are required to be eligible for state and federal grants. And that is really like the biggest reason why these corps are here, but also as a way to say, okay, where were we 5 years ago? Where do we want to be in 5 years? Knowles Nelson Stewardship Grant, I'm sure you guys are familiar with, being, one of the biggest ones that municipalities are applying for their city parks. So just an overview, pretty standard. This, if you had a chance to look at the packet, that's great. This is just kind of an overview of what the plan entails. We talk a little bit about data, looking at Census Bureau data, population projections, what makes, Hartford Parks unique, looking at some geographic data, reviewing the previous goals and objectives and seeing, okay, do they still fit for the community? Where are there potential areas of need? And then we make our recommendations for the next 5 years and kind of look on how we can accomplish that. So some interesting tidbits. One of the things that we look at is a demand analysis, and this is based on a couple different data sources. So the the census data that we use for population, and then we use the Department of Administration's population projections to try and guess, it's our best estimate for where Hartford is going to be, 2035, 2040. And based on the current acreage of the city parks, it looks like you guys are doing pretty well, as you could see at the bar graph on the right, above the upper quartile for the National Recreation Parks Association's standards for acreage for a population of your size, which is great. And looking at the bottom left of that table, basically what this table is saying is that even if the population increased as expected in the next couple of years, there's still enough parks acreage that there'll be a surplus of acreage versus a demand. So yeah, those are all good numbers and speak highly of the community. And these are always great. So what I have here is a 10-minute walk analysis. And what this does is basically everything inside the green is where City of Hartford residents live within 10-minute walk of a park. And so we basically do 10 minutes being about a mile. And you can see here, this is a testament to kind of how well connected the park system is, that almost the entire, basically the entire center of the municipal boundary is covered. You can see there's a couple gaps on the right that are actually kind of, like as you get closer, obviously, to the state park, that's going to be, drawing more attendees, and there's a couple of gaps here and there, but I think they align well with also some future park planning. So I think this is looking really good for the community. Moving on here, there's lots more questions than these, but I just pulled a couple excerpts, and you can see the full survey summary. I think we had about 300 responses to our survey we put out for a couple months this summer. You could see here that I would say, generally speaking, it was pretty positive responses. Most popular activities or facilities was, of course, the aquatic center, playground equipment, picnic facilities. That one's actually was a little bit surprising for me. Walking, of course. And then this on the left, the bottom left, the green one, when asking what amenities they would like to see, there was a larger list than these ones. I just pulled the top 5, but more restrooms, of course, something we always hear, more indoor athletic complex for additional programming. Splash pads are very popular nowadays. Some canoe kayak facilities, some off-road walking, biking paths and trails. So that's what the community would most like to see more of, or see any within the community. But overall, positive sentiment about the ability for the city to meet the needs of the community. So that is great. Looking here at proposed parks and trails. So this is kind of just looking into the future. Where is the kind of hopeful additions to the current system? You can see a lot of it is that Rubicon River Trail extensions that are hopefully, some of it's going to be happening pretty soon. We have that one parcel on the bottom left. That one does actually have a master plan already, although it's probably not going to happen quite yet. But you can see here that when we looked at that previous map of the geographic analysis, you could see that some of those gaps are, being looked towards to the future as the city grows. So these are giant tables. I don't expect you all to read all of them right now, but this is just to kind of give you a sense of how these recommendations are laid out, basically park by park, looking at, okay, is this in the next year? Is this the next year to 3 years? Or if it's low priority, it's the next 5 years or maybe more. The expectation is not that every single item on this list is completed in the next 5 years. But what happens in 5 years is you take stock, okay, of all of these items, which have we actually been able to complete, which have been slightly out of the budget, which are ones that might have gotten passed over, but now, there's increased, community want for it. And so, really this is just like a big kind of comprehensive way to say, okay, roughly, how ballpark estimate, how much money is this going to require to implement? And yeah, I mean, that is the presentation. And this was the Centennial Park opening, which MSA was so happy to be a part of. And yeah, we were there with the table. If any of you were there, hopefully you came and did some of our little sticker activities that we did with the community. But yeah, I'd more like to throw it to you all for my remaining time and, hear any thoughts or feedback on the plan.
Any questions for Morgan, guys?
Well, I would like to say, I thought the report was beautiful. It was very comprehensive. I would like, there are physical copies or email copies citizens of Hartford could get. It's because it's comprehensive, it's big, but it's really concise in the sense that there's no wasted words, there's no wasted charts, there's no wasted graphs. They're all significant, helpful. It really makes our parks and recs and our community shine. But also there are things I wanted to go from low to medium personally, but that's out there 4 or 5 years. I can say that maybe at that time, but I think it's really a tribute to Morgan and the company and the staff for putting that together. And I just hope that everyone can get a chance to look at it, and also to contribute to the surveys, to know what it is our priorities want to be. So thank you all for doing that.
Thank you so much for that comment. I really appreciate it. I don't know if you were the one that had emailed with your comments, but they were so thoughtful and nice. I think it seems like it was you based on your kind words. But yeah, I really appreciate your feedback. And I will say that, you speak to the intentionality of what is in the plan. And I will say, as a profession, planning is moving towards these documents that are way more accessible than maybe they were 20 years ago, when they're like 2 binders this thick, that, might start collecting dust on the shelves. But yeah, I mean, more than happy if Randy and I could touch base on getting a copy of this bound if you'd like physical one. But this will absolutely be available on the city website once it's completed. And yeah, I appreciate your thoughts. And question for Randy, if you want to move some stuff up from low to medium.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Ken?
And one of these would be specifically for you, Morgan. So on page 5, upper right-hand corner, there's a section that's that's labeled equity, and the second line has many communities utilize park funding and infrastructure to revitalize blighted areas and rectify historic disinvestments in lower income neighborhoods. I don't really think that's pertinent to our city, and I really don't think that's pertinent to this document. My recommendation would be that line actually be removed, and that equity, which so that intimates an inequity of outcome, it should really be labeled equality, and that means that the opportunity is the same for all of our citizens, not the outcome. And so I think that's a misnomer, and that should be relabeled, and I think that the second line should be stricken from this document, because I don't think it's pertinent at all.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that in the document, there's a lot of good information in here, and especially about the demographic makeup of the area. I'm a county board supervisor as well. And so we struggle right now in that if you were on page 7, you make, the observation that 20% of the population is at retirement age, which is a 42% income, an increase from 2010, which is accurate, and the average age has gone from 33.6 to 37.8 in just really 12 years. And so as we look at that, we're seeing that Washington County is getting older. We're not growing. The city of Hartford is actually not growing. There's more houses with fewer people in them. So we want to be very careful. I know this is a 5-year document, and that's good. And the overview that I get from this is, and you had the graph up there about the number of acres of property that we have per 1,000 people. I think it's very important that we be mindful of that. I do not want us to get over our skis with regard to the number of properties that we're managing and taking care of. We need to do a good job of managing the properties that we have right now, of the real estate that we're taking care of. I think Centennial Park was a great project because that was already an area in the city. We owned it. It didn't look good. It looks great now, and those are the things we continue to do. So I want to reiterate that and I know that I spoke to the mayor about this, we don't want to grow our footprint in the next 5 years. We want to watch as things develop. The 5-year layout for the number of young people under 18 is going to start to really decrease, and so that's something that we want to watch. So everything the document has really matched up with what I've seen and the numbers I've gotten at the county level, and I think we need to pay heed to some of these things. And like I said, especially somebody like Brian, he doesn't need to have people out all over, trying to make lots of places look halfway decent. We would like to take the places that we have look really good. And so, let's keep that portfolio, that real estate portfolio we have. Let's leave it where it is. At the county level, we are actually selling off right-of-ways, communication properties. We're getting rid of real estate like crazy. If you're not using it and you're not managing it, get rid of it, because it's only a liability. And so I want to make sure that we're all on the same page with this. I love like pickleball courts. You see the numbers for that. That was in a number of other customer comments. We're moving on that. That absolutely has legs, has a broad demographic appeal. That's great. And so, doing those within the park portfolio that we have right now, I think that's the way forward, especially for just the next 5 years. And so that's what I would like to see, and I think that's a good that fiscally and that, practically speaking, again, from someone like Brian's, perspective, that's the path that we need to follow. Thank you.
Anyone
Yeah.
else?
I just had 2 other comments, and I failed to send these to Randy, so I apologize. Just so you have the correction of the history on page 13, the pool at the high school only has 6 lanes. It's listed as 8. And then that land next to Lincoln is now owned by Hartford High School and not the common schools. And then when I was looking at the West Side Park notes, I don't know if we want to correct it or not, talking about the funding of the light project, but we did do the lights. I don't know if that wants to be noted when it happened. I forgot the year. It must have been 7, 8 years ago.
I was just in that file cleaning it out a little bit, and I don't remember the year.
Yeah, and then I noticed that we failed to have dugouts on the recommendations for improvements, which I think are drastically needed.
Yeah. Thank you for those comments. I would love if you could send those to Randy. We can for sure make those edits in that you just asked for. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I know Randy's working on the dugouts. It's just not in the.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of items. So, I mean, having eyes on this is really the most important way to make sure that nothing gets left behind in our document. So,
That's
yeah,
because
I
we get those
appreciate it.
dugouts done, so it's not pertinent.
Maybe they'll be done before this plan is even
2024.
adopted.
All right, John, Kate, Joel?
Yeah, only thing I said, I know this is going to go in front of the council by Tuesday, so are all these changes going to be done, and do we need to review them before they go in front of council, or is it, as long as we get these in?
Morgan, you
Yeah.
know our timeline. Would we be able to get these changes made in time for Tuesday?
I mean, I can make these changes first thing tomorrow morning, get you an export tomorrow by lunchtime. If you guys want to get a copy when the edits are in, I would say if you trust Randy to make sure that your comments are noted and in, then I would say we could just move ahead and say, okay, we'll send it to council, knowing that, you know, XYZ changes will happen in the document before it goes in front of them. If that works for everybody, I feel like that would probably be the easiest way to do it.
And if there's any doubt on that, we can delay it and put it on either the following meeting
No, I
agenda.
just saw it on the agenda, and I just wanted to make sure that, I mean, the document itself, I mean, it's obviously, it's pretty thorough and there's a lot going on in it, so I just want to make sure we got a good one going forward. And, I mean, I know the council, if you had these other changes coming in, if you needed to get it done quick, you just have to note the changes. So-
Right. And as you know, it's
Yeah.
easier to pull something from the agenda than get it on
Yeah,
last
get it on it,
minute.
that's
So-
for sure.
Well, you know, we were just, you know, we were just preparing in case it was going to go straight in. But the reality is that there's no harm in waiting until next month. That aligns with our intended schedule anyways. It just so happened that, you know, the meeting was enough after that it was a possibility that we could squeeze it in really quickly. But I mean, we don't feel there's no forced pressure for us to rush it if we think we want to take a second more and make sure.
Okay. I mean, what I heard tonight for changes or comments is not significant by no means, so I think that's an easy change.
Yeah, I agree.
You should be set.
Yeah, I think so too, based
And I-
on those comments. Nothing that would take me, you know, a significant amount of time to re-export.
And I wanted to be respectful of Morgan's time, but I'll let you speak for yourself on that, Morgan. If you feel like you can get it done, great.
No,
Otherwise-
no. This is my top priority.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
John or Kate? All right. You have an executive summary for approval with the, well, first thing I'll do is look for a motion to approve them with the modifications recommended by Ken.
Second motion.
And Scott, right?
Yeah.
And Scott, I'm sorry. All right, motion by who?
I'll motion.
Motion by John,
A second.
a second by Ken. Any other discussion on this? All right, all in favor of approval with those modifications, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Morgan.
all.
We'll be in touch probably tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you all so much. Have a good rest of your meeting and go Brewers.
Thanks, Morgan.
Bye.
All right, you have another executive summary in front of you for the purchase of the Salter for the Parks Bobcat.
Yes, the Parks crew is interested in a 60-inch Salter attachment that will both be more efficient with their time and material. Staff had reached out to 3 different dealers with Bobcat Plus coming in with a low bid of $4,900. Bobcat Plus is also the dealer we purchased our new Bobcat this year. We had previously auctioned off the old Bobcat when we purchased the new one, which gave us a surplus of $17,500. So we sold that piece of machinery for $27,500, $10,000 of which was dedicated to the budget for the purchase of the new. So that's the funding we would utilize to purchase the new Salter.
Sounds pretty simple here. Motion to approve by anyone?
I motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Joel,
Second.
second by Kate. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval of staff's recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We have an executive summary and a recommendation to reallocate some capital outlay funds from the park roof replacement fund to the park roof painting project.
Yes, as part of the '24 operational budget, $9,000 of a $9,000 capital outlay project was budgeted to replace the roof at the Independence Medium Shelter. The prices came back almost more than double of what staff was expecting because we wanted to replace that roof with a metal roof. With that, staff would like to utilize these funds to paint the roofs at Willowbrook Medium and the West Side Park gazebo. Those are both the old steel roofs, red roofs. So we'd like to utilize that money to get those two projects done. We'd like to see them done yet this year, but that would be weather dependent at this point. If we are not able to get it done this calendar year, we would carry that money over to '25, get those two projects done in the spring. And then as a side note, as far as the Indy Roof project, that will be put in as a capital project in a future year with the right funding behind it.
So is there a reason we had it in for this year then, or is just, because you're pushing it almost a year, 2 years, right? I mean, is the roof in that bad a shape, or are we okay with it?
It's obviously, it's work that needs to be done, but we also feel comfortable enough that we can get by. It'll probably be a '26 entry with the 2-year borrowing cycle, and we're confident we'll be able to
Okay.
get to that point without any major issues with the roof.
Anyone else? Anyone care to motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Motion by John to approve staff's recommendation.
My second.
Second by Dan. Any other discussion on this? All in favor of approval of staff's recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Summer fun ticket sales.
Yes, our end-of-season reports, our summer fun ticket sales, again, are tickets that are able to sell through Wisconsin Park and Recreation Association as a fundraiser. We earn 75 cents per ticket for the different amenities, and these are at a discounted rate. This year, we made $822.75, and that's more tickets than we sold over the previous 6 years. So that continues to go up, and again, that's primarily without Six Flags tickets. I think we had a special 1 week, we were able to sell them, correct? We sold 9, I think the report says. The biggest jump we saw were in Ducks tickets. That's Ducks, not Bucks. The Ducks, the Dells Ducks. Mount Olympus and Noah's Ark tickets were our biggest sellers and took the biggest jump from the previous year. Everything else kind of held pretty steady.
Any questions on the report, guys? All right, update on the gymnasium project.
You'll see in your packets, did a little simple picture collage of each step of the project. As far as the gym floor itself, it has been painted with a finished coat. Basement has been in today, and they'll be back tomorrow to continue to install the volleyball posts, the volleyball post covers, covers for the electrical outlets, and we have 2 drain accesses in there that need covering, along with installing the base trim along the perimeter of the gym. That's what's taking the most time. And we, if all goes according to plan, which there's no reason it shouldn't, the gym will be available beginning Monday, October 7th. We'll be back in business.
All right, thank you, Randy. We'll go to rec programs and activities. Let's talk about special events we have for Halloween.
So first coming up is Halloween Hoopla. It is coming up on Wednesday, October 23rd. It is for our youngest kind of age group there with the preschoolers, but it will be held in our gym as it has every year since I can remember. But it'll be where kids can come in, they can play games, they get little toys, they get candy, they get to kind of just hang out, do a little costume contest, and celebrate a little bit of Halloween through that.
All right, and then bonfire and broomsticks.
Bonfire and Broomsticks is a new program that we are hoping to get off the ground this year. It is for the older middle school, high school population that we're trying to hit a little bit more with these kinds of programs. We would be hosting it at Woodlawn Park on October 17th. We would have a bonfire with some s'mores and then play a Halloween movie, not a scary one, but a Halloween movie, where they can just kind of hang out and be with their friends and have a fire and a movie.
All right, and then we have a line dancing class.
Yeah, so line dancing starts on October 11th. This session of line dancing is more of a beginner class taught by Hannah, who's one of our instructors for fitness. It's a great opportunity to try something new. Currently, we have 8 people signed up and 12 open spots left. So she definitely wanted to target a new audience with it because she has ran intermediate line dancing classes in the past. So wanted to get a new group in so that she could eventually have a larger group in those intermediate classes in the future.
Is Randy signed up for that class?
I might have seen his name. No.
Get the video feed. All right, and who's talking about the pirate camp?
So Pirate Camp is coming up on October 19th. We currently have 6 kids in the program, so we will be running it. Our new Tots Little teacher, Amanda, will be the instructor for it. There is some space, so hopefully we can get some more kids in and they get to learn all about being a pirate just before Halloween.
All right, moving on to golf simulator pricing.
So we are back to our normal $30 resident, $40 non-resident fees for the golf simulator. And just as a reminder, this is for an hour time block. It's not per person. It's $30, $40 for the 1 hour. If you want additional hours, it's an extra $30, $40. So we have had a little confusion in the past of if it's per person or for the whole block. It is for the whole block of an hour.
In adult and youth sports, let's talk about the volleyball league.
Our fall update, so with our fall, we were gonna have one more week of the outdoor season. Hopefully everything works out, that we are back indoor starting next week. We had some really good luck with the weather this fall for them to be able to play outside. Once again, thank you to Hartford Electric for just even being able to. But they have a couple more weeks left, and they get to play on the new gym floor, and they'll be the first ones to use it, so they'll be excited.
And the winter league then?
So our winter volleyball packets went out last week, Wednesday the 25th. I have heard from Carrie at the front desk that there have been quite a few that have asked questions and had inquiries about it. We currently do only have 2 signed up, but it's also very early, and they can sign up until October 30th, so not too worried about it. But the league starts on November 4th.
Thanks, Melody. Moving on to aquatics, we get a staff report on Vets Aquatic Center.
Yes, so your year-end reports, we gave you an updated hard copy. That's why that was handed out. These numbers are updated. We were able to get some more information we weren't sure we were going to be able to get, but we were able to get that in time, so we updated our numbers. So just a couple points, and then I'll field any questions you have. Total attendance was down 6,000. We attribute a good portion of that to the weather. It's deceiving, as one of the first columns you see is the average temperature shows that we had a higher average temperature than we did last summer. That's deceiving because we were more closely to that 74-degree range than we were last summer, where we had more highs and lows, if you would. If you remember correctly, we had some pretty hot stretches during the summer of '23, which we did not see during the summer of '24. As a matter of fact, I've joked in the office, this month of September is some of the best pool weather we've seen all year long, unfortunately. Another contributing factor to it is again, with the weather. We did not go more than 3 days during the months of June and July without rain. And then we get these mid-afternoon showers, and then for the most part, we shut down. If we get that rain shower 3 o'clock or later, people leave, and we typically don't have enough to stay open after a delay. And then as people look at their weather reports, they see that chance of rain. That also keeps them from attending the pool too. But like I said, I wish we could have had this September weather. That would have been great. We are currently $30,000 under the break-even point, which, as this body knows, over the past 3 years, we've either broken even or we've made a profit. Even with that, our budget number for a loss is around $70,000, so we're still only half of that. Keep in mind, a lot of this is contributed to our leak issues, whether it was paying more for chemicals due to water loss, or the process of figuring out and solving the water leak issue has contributed to that as well.
Thank you, Randy. Any questions on the report, guys? So again, the city is subsidizing roughly $70,000 a year.
That's what we're budgeted to do, and
Budgeted
it'll
for,
end up
yeah.
being about 30 right now. Yeah.
All right, we'll move on, and we have a maintenance update.
I'll do a quick intro of what I have, and then I'm gonna have Brian jump in with anything I've missed. Brian's been a vital part of this process. Even when he's not on the clock, I know he's putting in a lot of thought time, whether he's here or not. That's why we try not to bother him when he does take his time off, so that we don't bring it back to him, but I want to thank Brian for that. So anyway, last we talked, on August 30th, we had arranged for Wolf Underground to come in, and I believe we updated you in September. They came to site, they declined the job, but they did refer us to Speedy Clean, Drain and Sewer out of Menasha. We met with Speedy Clean on September 20th, on September 10th to do a preliminary walkthrough. At that time, they viewed the 2 videos we had in our possession. One, and that was from the preseason, one from our wastewater department that came in and did that. I want to thank them for that work. And then we did employ Visu Sewer out of Pewaukee. They provided us with a film as well. So taking almost a whole day walking through the ins and outs of our pool, the problems we've had, watching the video, we had a real good feeling of the gentleman, one of which was the owner from Speedy Clean, to work with them. So what they had done was they asked us to have wastewater department to come vacuum out our lazy river lines, once again, the lines that were in question. And they did that from the mechanical pool building where the lines end or start, depending on how you want to look at it. They wanted that done before they came back to test and film the lines themselves. So we did have wastewater come back out on September 13th. They did that work, and then Speedy Clean came back out September 16th, where they filmed and pressure tested the lazy river lines. They found a joint, first turn out of what we deemed Croc 1, about 30 feet in. Nothing conclusive was seen on the video, but the pressure test that they performed afterwards confirmed a spot of a weak joint or a leaky joint. So when they pressure test, they take basically like an air bubble, would you call it, Brian, or an air?
It's an inflatable.
Thank you.
Heavy rubber balloon. It inflates and they deflate it, and it's in 10-foot sections.
So they were able to do that, located a spot. Of course, they finished the line to make sure there wasn't any other spots, and they came back to it to double check, and they confirmed where our joint issue was. So Speedy Clean proposes the installation of up to a 12-inch by 4-foot piece of what they call cured-in-place pipe to do the repair at this spot. Speedy Clean, once they put this piece in, they would air test the system to ensure that there are no other defects to this. So the plan right now is to have them come in, perform this work. As you recall, we had an issue with the leisure pool as well, the large pool. They have not checked that out, so the plan is for them to come in, apply their sleeve, if you would, and while that takes time to cure, while that is curing, that's a couple-hour process, they'll come in, they'll come on over and test out the leisure pool itself, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, but that's a relatively simple run.
Yeah.
If you want, okay. To which we feel like we may find a similar issue. Let me know if I got any of that wrong, Brian.
Right on.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
So good news is we found our issue with the lazy river. Again, we have a good idea of what our issue might be with the leisure pool. This company has been very good to work with. Pricing's been reasonable, and it looks like we found our solution.
Anything to add, Brian?
Yeah, when we had our first round, naturally, we had so many red flags in the beginning, and it was almost, we couldn't believe what we were being told from the first round of video. And then we had our wastewater treatment came in, and they couldn't quite see everything that they were seeing, but with Speedy Clean coming in, it sure was a whole different ball game that we played when it was time to really truly go in and see where the issues were. And there was one part that that the other company had stated, well, you have this root infusion into the piping. It's like, it just makes no sense. I don't know how that can happen. It would have been in our main circulating system for the leisure pool, for the large pool. And hence, so we had our wastewater treatments come in, sucked out the line. We found, it was hard for us to determine on how much debris was in there, but I think from day one, a couple of us had an incline pre-assumption that it was from that oak tree. And during the process of building, the debris flew into the pool and they just glued in the joints, and this debris has been in this line for that long because it can't pull itself through. And so we cameraed that with Speedy Clean, and it was pretty much all gone. There was some leaf debris in there, so the wastewater coming in sucked a lot of that out that we thought was, because that's a big deal, as anything would be, because you're tearing up that line right into the surge tank. We can fix surfaces, but when you start getting into the surge tank, that's a whole different ballgame, and I just could not even imagine what the costs would be to repair that. So anyway, I just wanted to enhance that a little bit, that we're on a really good path and we're moving in a forward direction, and we've kind of, and I can speak for Randy, kind of sit back in the chair a little bit and take a breath of fresh air, because it's not as bad as it truly was told to us in the beginning. And it sure is even being a lot less as we're progressing through with this different company.
Yeah, and they said, I mean, obviously with our water loss, we're looking for gaping holes. And we asked, I said, okay, this failed joint, is this really responsible? I said, yes, absolutely. It could be responsible for our water loss.
So the next step takes place when?
So right now, we're arranging paperwork with Speedy Clean. The latest update I had is they hope to be able to come in and finish the work before the end of October.
So the question I have, is this like what they have to, so this joint, is that PVC, is that PVC?
It's a different schedule of PVC. It's a Schedule 80, so it's very thick and rigid, but it's PVC.
And do they have to tear out, or do we have to?
They're gonna sleeve
tear out
it.
any like, like masonry? Is this No.
No.
No, okay. so
They're,
it's
they're
not a
going
shit
into the
show.
pipe, they shoot this liner in,
Oh.
and it self-adheres. There's a process. It's not as
Yeah, yeah.
easy as what I'm
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
saying.
okay, but.
But it's a cure, it's a permanent cure-all.
So there's no excavation or no?
No.
Oh.
So far,
okay.
so good. That's why we were told so many different things in the beginning, and where these possibilities could have been, and we're not there. And we've gotten through that portion of it. Now we have our solution for that portion. Now we go to the next one, but the next one is very short run. It's only a 30-foot run. So, but they shoot the sleeve in, the sleeve adheres to the existing PVC, and it expands and it self-adheres to this, the inside of the PVC lining. And it'll shoot right over that joint and seal it up.
Okay.
Anyone else, anything for Randy or Brian? Thank you, guys. Great report.
Thank you.
Great report. And then moving on to the Hartford Family Aquatic Center, sponsored by the Lutz Family Foundation. We have an open swim coming up.
Yeah, so yesterday was our first day of our full normal schedule for the indoor pool. So with that, we added back our water walking and toddler swim as well as open swims. So water walking and toddler swim take place on Tuesday, Thursday mornings, starting at 8:30 a.m. And then open swims, we have our same schedule as normal. There's open swims on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So hopefully we see some increased numbers this year, and the renovations bring some people in. Yeah, so that's back to normal.
All right, and tell us about the pumpkin splash.
Yeah, so Pumpkin Splash is on Friday, October 25th, during our open swim from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. It's a fun Halloween-themed event for the indoor pool. In the past couple years, it's been pretty successful. Had a pretty good crowd last year, I know. And pretty much what we do is we put pumpkins throughout the pool and on the sides as well, just kind of have that Halloween theme. And then we run a couple of small mini games that give prizes such as pool day passes, as well as candy for some of the kids. So it's a good event.
And then we have a maintenance update at the Aquatic Center.
Yes, included in your packet, we gave you a picture of the almost completed pool with the new paint job, along with the new sponsorship sign. I want to thank Sarah for getting that. She did a great job getting the picture. Thanks, Sarah. So stair tower is still not completed. So Musa Machining and Fabrication out of Neosho was subcontracted by A&N Contracting to install the new stair tower. Production of the framework has been continually delayed because they don't make it. They rely on another company to fabricate the stairs themselves. At this time, the ironwork is done. The delay is on a longer section of the stairs that Musa is waiting to get back from galvanizing, which is expected to be done any day now. Installation of the tower frame and the building of the railings is scheduled to begin towards the end of next week. Reminder that they will be creating the railings on site. So they're gonna do the framework of the stairs, and they're gonna create the railings on site, building it right there. But once the railing is done, that will be taken down and taken in for galvanization itself. So the tower itself, to be completed, I'm expecting sometime in early November is where we're at now.
Any questions on that, guys? All right, we'll move on to parks and staff report, and including the park project report.
Park projects, work has been done in relation to our athletic programs with volleyball moving outside. And we spent some time fixing up the two sand courts at Independence Park. I want to thank the parks crew. They've been bringing out the utilities light tower for us, so we've been able to play on Monday evenings, and they've also been doing the work at the flag football, mowing, laying out those fields and lining them. Concrete work for Candy Cane has been done, and for future benches, concrete work. And a lot of time has been dedicated to all the special events that happen during the month of September. You know, they helped us out with our own events such as Touch a Truck, but the Oktoberfest, when the movies in the park happen, there's a couple other ones. We're dedicating a lot of time bringing down tables, garbage cans and whatnot, and a lot of those events, obviously for our own, but for these other programs with Chamber or whatnot, we do that work for free. So that's a discussion we'll be having with Steve to see where a line may be drawn on our work. And it's not just us either. DPW does a lot of work. They're the ones that are shutting down the road and reopening it, coming in at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. And then utilities as well with the electrical, setting that up. So I want to thank those other departments and just want it noted, all the work the city itself puts into these events, which are well worth it. I think it's been a great time for events. Appreciate community partners such as the Chamber and the Mill for the events they're putting on, and I know the community really appreciates them.
There's usually donuts involved.
I've never seen a donut.
It
may
for
not look
those
like
who
I've
do
never
the
seen
physical work for
Okay.
us. Donuts, pizza.
Brian, was there anything else that I missed that you wanted to add with the park report?
No, it's just never ending. You know, our daily calls, our duties that we have planned and how things change when we add other vandalism, reports of vandalism, things that we have to take care of, things that break, extra mowing. It's just never ending. And we're so happy that we have this, you know, a fourth person on our crew now full-time. And we still can't keep up. It's just the way it is, and we do what we can do in a day, and we know our days always change as they go on, so it just never ends.
To that point, we were suffering regular vandalism at the beginning of the month, up until a week or two into the month. Utilizing Jack Ewing in our camera system, we saw never could pinpoint a single person, but there was a consistent person anytime this had happened, and we involved the PD. I don't have an update as to where that is, but I can give you an update that the vandalism has stopped.
All right, any questions for the guys on the Parks report? All right, commission requests tonight. Anything on your mind, anything you want to see in our parks? There being none, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ken,
I'll second.
second by John. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.